Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. This is one of the risks that you run when you work with the weekly feed that you have to be careful of. Um, and it's called I over fertilized. And you have to understand why this happens. And I'm going to explain why this happened here. One is I didn't evenly distribute because the corn's not very old yet, but I wanted to give it some, so I did it real light. The beans, I just tried to go around the ones that sprouted. But not the ones that were growing, but not the ones that just sprouted. And so I put too much fertilizer down right through these potatoes, and I knew I kind of put a little heavy here. Um, and so the other big issue is we see this plant right here. He's starting to shrivel up. He's getting some dark veins. Um, he just looks like he's not real happy right now. Okay, and I see that a little bit on this route here as well, and a little bit on this one. We have some light spots in here too. And what this is there's just too much salt in the soil. And even though this bed was very level and I checked it when I planted, the soil has sunk down. And when I'm watering, all the water from about right here is running back. And there's a little low spot here by this sprout, but this one's the main low spot. So when I put a little too much down, then I exacerbated the problem because all the nutrients that dissolved ran back to this corner. So what I'll do to try to mitigate this and try to give this guy a fighting chance is I will go ahead and get my little shovel out and just scrape any undissolved weekly feed off the top of this area. And then I will put some extra soil down here to get this level so that all the water doesn't any longer sink to that corner. And then I'm going to water that guy extra good to try to rinse as much of the weekly feed out of the soil as I can. This would be a little easier to rinse out if it was a raised bed. It's not. So, even though I've been doing this a few years, there's still a lesson to be learned. And I think I might be looking at a little bit of an over-fertilization issue here. I've got a little bit of leaf curl on my indeterminates. This guy's they're not looking as happy as they probably should. And I'm looking and I think I got too much weekly feed on there. I just didn't get it evenly distributed. So I've got to be a little more careful about that. And it's always better to under-fertilize than over-fertilize. So I'll do the same thing here, which is remove that extra weekly feed, water extra good. It's been my experience that with tomatoes, they recover a little easier. I have never over-fertilized potatoes before, so we'll see what happens. But you live and you learn. This is my first time not, here the soil is elevated just a bit. It's easier to flush it out inside the 2x6s. Here, this bed, I did not, go off to the sides and bring it up. It's just kind of down in there. It doesn't drain as well. So I'm just going to fertilize this guy lightly throughout the rest of the season and see what we can do for these plants. But I just thought, when you start to see that happening, and it was fine yesterday, I put down my weekly feed, it's not fine today, I'm seeing that there's a problem. I'm going to work as quickly as I can to try to correct that and mitigate the problem. This is why if you have an automatic watering system and you're not out there inspecting your garden every day, you need to inspect this, because if I had let this go with an automatic watering system until next week when I got out here, that would be dead. There probably wouldn't be a chance of saving it. So that's all. Just remember, it's better to under-fertilize than over-fertilize. Get an even distribution. And what I should have done is said, okay, this is a foot. That'll get a ½ ounce. That's a few feet. That'll get an 1.5 ounces. And then maybe lightly put some down around the other plants that are more mature than the seedlings. And probably what I would have been better off to do It's just not even due around any of the smaller plants. Let those all get big before I fertilize them. So I guess this is part of the problem when you're going back in and trying to transplant seeds because of germination issues. If I had just transplanted seedlings, although normally beans you can do from seed and corn, but when you put healthy seedlings in, then you don't have these particular issues with, oh, well, this plant needs some, but the one beside it just sprouted, kind of thing going on. So, but I just wasn't having any luck with the sand germination this year. And I think the problem is that the sand I have is not washed sand, and it's kind of sticking together and getting hard on top of the seed. So I think I have the wrong sand is what the issue is. I was watching some of LDS Prepper's videos, and his sand looks a lot different than my sand does. Although I thought what I got was concrete sand, but I guess it's not the right kind of concrete sand from what I'm seeing. So I might send him an email and just try to get like an exact brand name or type of what he uses or where he's getting it at which home center. See if I can get the right kind. And I gotta get these preppers pruned. I can get some leaves touching the ground, but I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow because it's getting late. This is Tom, your frugal prepper. I'll talk to y'all later.